graph, which showing the turnaround, the 59 Grass River turnaround after Harvey, you can tell the shoulder, because the erosion is pretty much washed away. And the TxDOT actually takes some action trying to fix it, trying to stabilize the bank by installing what we call C pilings. Those steel C pilings is pretty good size, 20, 30 feet, trying to stabilize the bank to stop the erosion so they can protect the bridge, right? But it didn't work. You can tell the C piling kind of fall off, that's what it looks like today. So their effort, didn't work. You can, the river is pretty powerful. After Harvey, there's a couple other high water events just keep eroding the bank. It becomes worse and worse. So TxDOT decided to permanently close the turnaround. And they also proposed to do some bridge improvements because they have to preserve the bridge. It's a very important bridge for 59. So what they propose to do is to do the extension to move the bridge support further north. And on this exhibit, if you can tell, here's the river right now, that grayish green, a little green showing the river. And the blue line is the projected river is going to be in the future. And this is dependent on pretty complex model calculation, how much erosion could happen based on rain events, high water events. That's the projection. And from timeline, it's probably the next 30, 40 years. But I would like to emphasize this is not, it's dependent on time, but it's not really dependent on time. It's event depending. Say if we see another Harvey, that big event, you could lose the riverbank 100 feet easily, right? So it's really depends on in the future what type of high water events we're going to see. That will determine how fast the river will move toward the move on. So TxDOT is proposing to extend the bridge to where currently the overhead sign is by adding the pier support. So the bridge, no longer is going to be further north. So that's what they're proposing to do. And with that proposed, definitely the turnaround will be closed permanently. So that brings a challenge to us, to Sugar Land residents, to the people traveling on 59, using turnaround to access cities, Grass River Park, Crown Festival site, UH area. So it definitely is a challenge. But can we work together to turn this challenge into opportunity? That's where UH comes in. So TxDOT and us and UH trying to form partnership to working together to find a solution that can benefit everybody, right? So can we build, the thinking is after we lose the turnaround, how we can improve the mobility in that corridor and still provide access to cities, parks, festival sites, and also provide access to in developed area on UH campus for future, access and future industrial partnership. So we start working with UH. City entered into what is called LOI, letter of intent, working together build a road on UH campus to provide those needed access in the near future or now for our parks. And that will work with city, that will work together with TxDOT to seeking a advanced funding solution with TxDOT, ask TxDOT to pay majority of the cost, which is 80% of project cost. And we also have a cap for the project is in the LOI is $20 million. So TxDOT, because will be a federal grant to pay for majority 80% portion of the project, they definitely require several studies before we can even apply for that grant. And they require traffic study, drainage study, and environmental study. City started negotiation with TxDOT, asked them to pay for the environmental study, which they probably will. So what we here today to ask funding from TIRZ 4 to pay for the traffic and the drainage study. So I'm going to tell you what the roadway will look like. This is the alignment, just to give people orientation. 59, and here's university. And we already have a road to provide access to cities, festival site and Grass River Park. That's over here, right? This is the festival river existing shown by the green, but it's only stop that we don't have an extension. So this proposed road will pass through UH campus. We call it new boulevard, UH boulevard, 4-lane boulevard, divided boulevard, connecting from existing road where it ends all the way to university. And we're also going to build a parallel road, which is a 2-lane, parallel to university, and might be a signal line intersection connecting to the university. And over here, it might be just writing it right out. So with road extension, we definitely provide access to the future development in development area for the village side and for any future partnership TIRZ will have with UH and city will have with UH. They definitely provide access to city's festival site. So people traveling from the north want to access the site, festival site parts, doesn't have to turn from all the way from 95, which people have been doing now, because we use US 59 Grand River turnaround. And they can just go through the UH, the university and access this road, or coming in, access this road. So they provide much better circulation for that corridor, for that site. Okay, here's the intersection, how it looks like for the 4-lane divided boulevard. We have median in between the two directions. On each direction, we have 2 lanes, 11 feet long, 11 feet wide. 2 lanes on each direction. We also propose to have a 10 feet walkway for bicycle, for walking, for students, for residents, for visitors. On the UH campus side. On the other side, it's going to be 8 feet. And we also provide, definitely street lighting, pedestrian lighting, and provision for future water, wastewater, and cable installation, for future. And that's the 4-lane boulevard. This is a similar layout for the 2-lane, which is parallel to university. And similar layout, it's just 1 lane on each direction. So that's what we propose for the roadway. So let's move to the drainage study. Because the proposed roadway will cross several drainage channels, you're probably not able to see clearly, but across UH campus, there's drainage channels, and the new proposed roadway will cross those drainage channels, and definitely will, have some impact on drainage, right? And this location is within late 17. So we need to do a drainage study to see what kind of adverse impact on drainage and what kind of mitigation we need to do. So the drainage study basically is going to study all those surrounding areas and determine, what impact the new road will have. And then we turn out, recommendation for mitigation actions. Do we need a detention pond? What kind of stormwater system we need, the sizing, the inlet, all that good stuff will be determined through this study. And the estimate cost for this study is going to be $49,250. And the estimate schedule, we need approximately 4 months to complete the study. So if the TIRZ board approves the funding resolution today, we plan to start the study in September and be finished early next year. Now we talk about traffic study. Losing that turnaround and build a new road definitely change the traffic pattern, in the area on the corridor. So we want you to do a traffic study to evaluate the closure of the turnaround to the surrounding area, to the network, the traffic network, and what mitigation we need to do. So the study will including a pretty good size area, including university from the north University Boulevard to Grand River turnaround. We also going to include Redwood area, which is the turnaround to the Grand Parkway. Because, losing that turnaround will be increasing traffic at US 99, 59 area. So that will be a comprehensive study to telling us what we need to do at the US 59, US 59 University intersection, what we need to do at 99, 59 intersection, and what we need to do at the University Boulevard when we're connecting the new road to the University Boulevard. Do we need a right in, right out? Do we need a traffic signal, in the future proposed, floor Daniel site, that location. So those traffic study will definitely nail down those results for us. So that we can move to the design, when we do the road, we can incorporate those study results into the design. And the cost for the traffic study is $106,000. And the schedule is about 3 months. So with your approval today for the funding, we're going to start go to city council for the design contract in September and finish up by the end of this year for the traffic study. So Ken, do you want to talk about the budget amendment or business?
Yeah, I'm glad to speak to that. Yeah, so we can take any questions y'all may have for Jesse Lee, but just wanted to point out the recommended action today is a budget amendment of $200,000 to be transferred to the city CIP project for this UHSL roadway, Brazos River turnaround closure project. And just wanted to point out that we do anticipate an ending fund balance this year for the TIRZ of just over $5 million. And the use of this $200,000 would amend that to come down about $200,000 to about $4.8 million in fund balance. So there is the purpose of this is to say there is adequate funding in the TIRZ to facilitate this project. That again, as was mentioned at the beginning, was anticipated in the TIRZ project plan and was expected to come before us, though not necessarily with the wonderful partnership we've been able to secure, hopefully with TechStop. So with that, again, staff's recommendation is to approve a fiscal year 21 budget amendment to have $200,000 be transferred from the fund balance, the CIP project CST 2301 for the UHSL roadway. We'd like to open it up to any questions that you all may have.
Thank you, Ken. Sure, well, let's begin over here. Matt?
One, with the new road on the campus, you were talking about the new road on the campus. I wasn't quite clear. Is that a boulevard with a divided road, a single lane or a double lane?
Hold on a minute, let me show you. Yeah.
The red road.
The red over here is 4-lane divided road.
So that's a divided 4 lanes?
Yes.
Okay.
2 lanes on each direction, and this is the 2-lane, streets.
Are
each direction.
when we go to university, in order to make a left turn going north or a right turn going south, is there also turn lanes on university that need to be done? Or are they already there?
I think currently you can access through Lexington, right? There's a line you can turn onto US campus through Lexington. And the future, when we build this road, you can enter the UH campus through here as well. But you can exit UH through here, make a right turn.
Is there going to be a traffic light there?
Not here, probably here. That's why.
Probably there.
Yeah, we're doing the traffic study to identify the best location for those.
You also need a bridge to go over the waterway there.
Yeah, we probably do for water crossing, over the channel here
Right.
and over to reduce costs. Yeah.
Now, in this study, to build that road, would that be a TIRZ road in the future or city road, or will that also be the money for that road? Where that come from?
I think, ROI, correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, I think city was taking over the maintenance, right? And the ownership will be.
So for, I'll speak to the funding first. So for the funding, we are going to TxDOT, our goal is for TxDOT to pay for 80% of the project. Today, the budget amendment is to cover $200,000 for the studies. And then we have budgeted, as of right now, in the Sugar Land Development Corporation and the Sugar Land 4B Corporation to cover the 20%. And we have it maxed out at $20 million. So we've set aside $2 million in construction and design of the matching 20% that's required in our corporations for right now, instead of bringing that to the TIRZ.
So where I'm going, we have a study, and then the money to help build that road, would you be coming back to this committee and asking?
Not unless you want to pay for it. But as of right now, the construction is set for FY23, which would be October 1st of 2022. And then we are currently budgeting that in our corporation. So we're splitting it between the two corporations. So all that we're asking for the TIRZ to fund at this moment is the $200,000 for the studies.
I follow that. I just want to make sure TxDOT is 80% of this new boulevard if you choose to build it.
Correct.
Correct.
So the studies are
Okay, I
going
was
to give
just
us.
looking at the other 20%,
There's
where
no
it would be
corporation.
coming from.
So unless you want to pay for it.
No, that's not my question. That's
Yeah.
not the answer I wanted. What I wanted is who is going to do the 20%? And that's the city of Sugar Land?
Our Sugar Land Economic Development Corporation,
Oh, okay,
yes.
that's what I wanted to know. And who's doing the study? Is there a firm selected to do the study?
Yes, we did. For the traffic study, it's going to be, LG, I'm sorry. Kimberly and Horn. Kimberly and Horn. They did,
what?
Kimberly and Horn.
Kimberly Horn.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did quite a few traffic study for us and they performed really well. And they actually did a traffic study for, I believe, for Daniel, when they were doing the development in that area, Lexington area. So they're very familiar with traffic counting, with the history, with the network in that area. The drainage study, we actually hired LGA. Of course, we haven't approved any contract yet because we're waiting on the budget amendment from your approval. And the LGA actually is the late 17 drainage engineer.
Mhm.
So they have really good working relationship and they know that that's, for sure because they are the drainage engineer. So they are going to do drainage study for the city.
All right, I think it's a good idea. Thank you for answering my questions. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
I want to disagree on that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the aspect of I've got to answer to my residents in Telfair, and we both serve on the mud, but then we represent the opposite mud as far as on the TIRZ. And I'm just not comfortable going back to my next mud meeting in September. Ironically, we just had our meetings this morning, and saying, by the way, we just used $200,000 worth of the TIRZ 4 money to cover, a traffic study and a drainage study. And those residents are going to come back to me and say, what's that, how is that going to benefit me? I mean, I'm looking at benefits for City of Sugar Land and benefits for U of H. Both of those are entities that don't pay taxes. And yet my residents are paying taxes, a lot of money into that TIRZ fund. And I need some information of how I can tell them that, no, you want me to support this, basically, because right now I'm not, and I'm also looking at that traffic study is going to be done on University and also Greatwood. Okay, so where's Greatwood in all this? Why are we not asking for some funding from entities in Greatwood? I mean, I'm just looking at that. I'm having trouble understanding and how I'm going to present to my residents in September that I voted to go ahead and spend $200,000 of TIRZ money and to try to tell my residents how that's going to benefit them.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me try to explain in several layers. One, as a resident of Sugar Land, whether you live in Avalon, you live in Telfair, you live wherever, you always go to visit the park, right? BRP Park and the Brothers, the festival site. City is going to have, events in future, definitely COVID fact, the activities on that site. But in the future, city definitely will have great events. And people want to visit the site. Without that turnaround, it's difficult to have access. So from Telfair, if you want to access the site right now, how do? You have to make the turn, right? From 99 and go to the shoulder and enter the park. So with this new road, you could go through University and get on UH campus and access the road, right? Access the park, access the festival site. So that's definitely the benefit to the residents. And the second I will add it in is this traffic study will not only just study the road itself, because we know the alignment, how that connect to University. It's going to study, like I said, the intersection, University and, 59. That's a very busy intersection, right? And a lot of traffic. So that study probably going to make some recommendation on how to improve that intersection. Everybody drive there, especially people living in Telfair, drive that intersection, a lot, right? So that intersection improvements is have a direct impact to Telfair residents, to people living on this side as well on 59. Because we haven't done the traffic study, so I cannot really tell the details. So most likely we'll add a turn lane, maybe triple left turn lane from 59 onto University, like we're doing from 59 on Highway 6. That's the mobility improvements as well. And from UH campus, you can get on University much quicker. You don't have to drive on University, you visit the park, you can exit the University and get on University, go home. So that's a lot of flexibility there. So I would think, you can visit the park, improve your daily driving on that section. Now, back to the Greenwood area, because the turnaround will affect residents over there. Because if you drive anywhere to the south, it's hard to coming back. You miss the turn, there's no U-turn. You have to go UH 59 to make the turn, 99 to make that turn. So I think, as a resident of Sugar Land, there will be a benefit.
Okay, I guess again, it goes back to that, okay, I understand what you said about Telfair people might use a park, but again, whole city of Sugar Land will use a park.
Right.
Several years ago, we had some park bonds that were on, for election, whatever.
Right.
And the ones that were in Telfair did not pass because, and a lot of the residents were saying, because that's over in Telfair. So to me, it's kind of like, okay, wait a minute, again, we're having to pay for something that everybody will be using. And same thing, again, my thing is, why are we coming to the TIRZ board to pay for this? It seems that there ought to be other funds available to use for this, other monies that, since it's benefiting those two areas, or those two entities the most, kind of thing.
So can I direct you to, in your packet, you have the original TIRZ.
Right, and I was looking at that, right.
So if you will look at that on page 4, it outlines the list of approved projects.
Right.
That are part of.
No, I saw that. I'm letting you know why, why I have issues with
You
this.
have to respond to your.
Yeah.
May I help you with
Can
that?
I mean, just real quick, and then if you look on page 10, it shows about 12.6 million is what is budgeted out of the TIRZ to pay for this infrastructure.
Mhm.
And then I also want to mention that we are looking at hopefully getting this reimbursed. We need this work to happen to be able to even submit the package for approval and reimbursement, but
Right.
hopefully we will get the $200,000 back.
I'd like to, I've done a lot of, former life, I was the lid director.
Yeah.
You know that.
I'm very familiar, yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar with that. The hydraulics through the Brazos River, this turnaround, from what I'm able to observe, even though they do the bridge, this turnaround will still be under a bridge if you do it, will still be in a floodplain.
Mhm.
So if the river floods, the turnaround will not be able to be used again.
So
But also
the
because-
turnaround's indefinitely closed, and
Right,
they're not
yeah.
rebuilding it. So
Right.
this is.
And so they're gonna terminate the turnaround totally, so.
Correct.
Okay,
So
so
in
thank you
lieu
for-
of rebuilding and having it destroyed again, and rebuilding and having it eroded again.
Oh, okay,
This is
okay.
in lieu of all of that. And so we saw this as an opportunity of, hey, we have the chance to get a significant part of this funded elsewhere. And it's something that has been identified in the plan, something we really need. And so why not take advantage of this
Thank
opportunity?
you for clarifying, because I didn't see the logic of rebuilding.
No, us either. And so
It's going to be
it's,
permanent
you know,
close.
and these improvements were identified long before we even knew that we would be in this situation. with
So
the
this will
turnaround.
give everyone coming from the north, your neighborhood, instead of having to drive all the way to Greatwood, turn around and come back, you'll be able to go down.
Eventually, but when you're looking at fiscal 23 for it being built, right now, all they're looking at is the traffic studies and the drainage studies and everything to do this. They're not starting, you're talking fiscal 23 though, as far as.
Well,
Yes,
I'm just,
right, yeah.
I understand you were on funding. I'm just saying, this would provide them accessibility,
Mhm.
shorter accessibility to the city festival site where the turnaround is being eliminated.
Yes.
And then also it's a big plus for the TIRZ because 80% of this new boulevard will be built by TechSouth.
Yes.
So that's a big plus for the TIRZ board. If we're not spending, originally I thought we might end up having to build that road all out of our own funds.
Right.
So here,
Is that actually, has TxDOT actually agreed to the 80%?
So that's where we are right now.
Yeah, we're right now, we need to do this, finish the study and work with TxDOT on the funding agreement. We're seeking 80% reimbursement.
Okay, you're seeking 80%, but you don't have that.
Typically, what we would do is workshop this with y'all and get this kind of feedback and then come back for approval. But we are under tighter time constraints because we
Right.
have to submit our package in October timeline. And so we are trying to get as much done as we can. We can submit the original, it's called an AFA, right?
Yes,
An
advanced
AFA. And
funding agreement, exactly.
yeah, and so then once we hopefully can hear by early next year that we get approved, and we'll know a better idea of like what the how much we'll get approved, and we'll kind of go from there. We'll keep you guys updated on that, and hopefully we get this, even this $200,000 reimbursed as well.
Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
in conclusion, I would say, and I think it's a big benefit to the TIRZ situation. It helps us build a road with federal money. I'll stop.
So I would say I appreciate the creativity and the thought that you guys have put into it and the work that you put into it. And if that is truly the case, that if it's 70%, 80%, I'd like to get your take on the conversations you've had already with TxDOT to see like, how likely is that? I think we all know before we go into business what the percentage of us getting that, landing that deal or that ask.
Normally for those type of, projects, because it's federal funding, they normally have 80-20 split. Local pay 20 and federal pay 80. So that has been the case for TxDOT. We're not anticipating any percentage lower if this project got selected, for federal funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see where they'd be a little wary because it's not even connected to a TxDOT road.
Well, actually, because we lose a turnaround and affect our access to the city park and the festival site, they got to give us something to accommodate for that.
So this is
Yeah.
fairly standard practice, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So then my other question.
And also I would like to add, sorry to interruption, we also have several conversations with TxDOT already. This is not just us and UH decided, let's build this road and ask TxDOT to pay for 80%. We have many meetings with TxDOT already. So, although we don't have a signed FA, but the conversation already started several times. Yeah.
Okay, so this has been in the works for quite some time.
Yes.
And it's fairly common for the TxDOT split to be 80-20 with the
Yes.
government. It's like happens all the time.
All the time, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's why we had all of you on the board, because you're, at that level.
But they
So my
have
last,
been known to go back, they're like the 45 project. TxDOT has decided not to do that because of political stuff going on and things like that. So
Right.
until part of the thing is until it's in writing with TxDOT.
But also, I think that until you do the study, you're getting nothing.
right,
Yes.
and so I guess that would be my next question is, or I guess, I don't know if this is a statement, but if the projects come to this, the funding, they're gonna have to come back to us anyway if they wanna come to the TIRZ. So we get to make that next decision, but right now we're just studying it. I was a little confused as to why 4A and 4B, and again, we don't want to pay for it. This is a great relief for the TIRZ if that's if it goes as planned. Why aren't we going to them for the funding of the study? Out of curiosity.
So we didn't have it in our budget at this time to fund it, and so we thought, since it was identified as the project plan, as part of the project plan, to go ahead and do it through the TIRZ. And then we have been in discussions with UH since I've been here about 3.5 years about how do we fund these roads. And we were looking at funding these roads through not so much the loop road, but more the industry partnerships and where it connects to the festival site and parking. We were looking at some of that opportunity with the corporation. So it kind of depends on what happens with TxDOT and where we go from here, but it could all change. If y'all want to fund it, we can come back. But to me, it's opening up that opportunity for the industry partnerships, which is really where economic development comes into play, being able to help locate other private businesses and hopefully get some tax revenue off of the sites.
And that was going to be my last comment. Is I prefer that obviously we focus more of spending the money on the other side. But U of H is such an instrumental part of our community, and so I think it's extremely valuable, and so we want to partner with them in every way that we can. So I would definitely add that there's a lot of value there, which will also, if you can tie it in with the industry across the street, that is best for everybody, even including U of H, then the students have better access, or there's employees to the campus as well.
The future floor development is over here, so they actually have a connection to UH. So this might become a signalizing, intersection to connecting to the future, Floridian development.
Yeah, I would ask that you keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the study is leveraging TxDOT funds?
Hopefully, yes. Yeah.
And just to compliment both of you being representative of the city, I'm a representative of the county. So I look at it in a sense of a county perspective. And from a county perspective, I think it moves the traffic to 2 major roads instead of 1. The feeder road now, we're able to get it over to University also for people going southbound. Also from the county's perspective, U of H is going to grow, and this is really important road for them. So I think we look at it also as a U of H, to help U of H accomplish its goal to become a bigger university. And then all the citizens of the county will benefit from U of H growing.
And from the park, it's not just a city park.
Yeah.
Thank you,
My
man.
kids use the park all the time.
I hope I'm accurate with saying that this would help U of H grow.
No, you're right. Some of you, many of you, most of you were part of a presentation and project we worked on. My recollection is 2013 with University of Houston, with the Dream. And this infrastructure and road was part of that. So to see it be this close with a partner willing to pay so much of it is very enticing. Bridget, you had a question, and then Carol, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. First of all, I think this is a great economic development tool for this TIRZ. And if you read page 3, number 2, we're feeding exactly what we're supposed to be doing about building this road. I mean, that's all there is to it. This is a huge part of it, in my opinion. The more U of H grows, maybe the more we have activity on the other side of the street of people wanting to come in and develop that area. But one question I do have is my math. Now, I am in the finance business, so maybe I got this wrong. The 2 only equal 154.5. So why are you asking for 200,000?
So we just rounded it up to 200 just in case we need any change orders or anything else comes up. But at this time, we don't anticipate it going above the 150-ish, but it's there just in case.
Okay, but we'll get reimbursed on that, whatever's coming.
It'll go back into the fund balance if it's not used.
Exactly.
We'll monitor it for maybe.
May I comment there? In planning for this meeting, the total was 159. Rather than call you back for a special meeting, because we had an overrun, said, let's give a little cushion in there. That's what that is. It's not used, it won't ever be used.
I'm going to ask that for TIRZ. For TIRZ.
Yeah. Okay, Carol, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I think this will be a significant benefit for the TIRZ if we can get that 80% funding. So this is pretty exciting. But now, will the traffic light be included in the TxDOT project?
Yes, yes. And all the intersection improvements will be in the project, not just these 2 roads we're talking about. And the project, that's a great question, I forgot to mention. The study area on the intersection of 59 University, 59, 99 area, if any improvements needs to be done, because the closure of the turnaround will include it in the road rate package. So TxDOT will not only pay 80% of the road, but also the intersection improvements. 80%.
And then will U of H take over the maintenance of the new boulevard section then as built?
I think in the LOI, city is going to taking over all the maintenance of the road, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a city responsibility for the
Okay, so the
maintenance.
city will take over that.
Yes, yeah.
I have a comment. I like the access and the egress that this creates for this area. and it puts in what we really need for growth. It seems to solve the problem of the levee, I forgot what it's called, but that's the erosion issue.
Yes, rather.
It addresses that as well, so that is good. But for our future, I think this is a very important move for us to make, and I'm pretty supportive of it.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Would we see any improvements? Oh, we don't know because we don't have to study this while we're doing it. But the access road off of 59 that's currently existing, is that also going to be studied a tad bit as well in green that connects the red?
Yeah.
Mhm. Because there may need to be improvements there too, right? If that turnaround's being closed, or is that probably going to be utilized less?
Well, yes, that's a good point. The study will cover the entire site.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's part of the scope.
Great.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you all. I've been coming to you all since 2017 with these ideas. And one of the things I joke is I've lived in Sugar Land for 26 years now, and I'm starting my 19th year with the university. I joke that I'm the translator because I speak fluent Sugar Land or Fort Bend and fluent U of H. One of the things that helps this project move along is this road is an existing plan at U of H's. If we came with a new idea, that's when we start getting road costs. Because this checks off boxes as part of our infrastructure, we were able to move through with this. Working with Chris and Elizabeth and Jesse has been wonderful. Jesse, going into the details of even the landscaping and those details, it's a great partner to be with Sugar Land because our standards are very similar, as opposed to trying to get a community partner that says, well, we need these trees. Why? That's University of Houston's partner. It's our protocol. They match. So in terms of working that, making sure that we look, it needs to look like U of H and Sugar Land. So we're pretty close on that. So, working with the folks from the LID also, we're active LID members with LID 17. We pay about $300,000 a year to be part of the LID to maintain it because that's our safety net. We have problems. So again, this drainage study is really important to us also. So, I know quite a few of y'all personally, just to show you all my cards. Y'all know I'm a horrible poker player, so I'll show you all the cards. So with this area here on 59, this is what we're calling 40 acres are designated for industry partnership zone. Currently reviewing, we've got a public-private partnership task force with the University of Houston to hire a consultant to help us navigate through that area. Public-private partnerships are not new to the city, they're new to U of H, and we don't usually do new real well. So they're real popular with universities right now, and a lot of times you see them with dormitories, hotels, or structured parking, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking more for industry partnerships with businesses coming in here who would help us with tax revenues, but also that they're academic partners with giving internships, externships, and research partnerships. So we're in that process. I actually would like to have that taken care of by September, having the consulting firm identified. So we're moving fast on that, about those 40 acres. Again, not to show you all the cards where we are, we're in discussions though with Fort Bend ISD and Microsoft to develop the STEM magnet school. Ideally would be here on our campus. Ideally, it would be in this area here. So this road also would fit the needs of that community and those stakeholders. What's in it for U of H is with partner with our College of Education to have an embedded professional development school. So basically our College of Education would be embedded in this K through 12 model, whatever it is. So all of our students will have 2 to 3 years of teaching experience when they graduate. And we really basically want to create a build your own teaching program for Fort Bend ISD that specializes in STEM focus. So again, these projects check off a lot of our boxes. I think for this one, we did a little arm wrestling, but I think we landed where everybody's happy with it. So.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if I could mention the Microsoft, but to us, and kind of going back to why the corporations would help fund the 20%, that is our workforce development, our future workforce. And so that is really, really important to us. Our businesses are screaming. I mean, every industry right now is suffering all across the country. It's not unique to Sugar Land and Fort Bend County, but they can't find employees. And so for us, the opportunity there to help with the College of Education, but then also embed technology into the Fort Bend ISD program is such a slam dunk win-win. Most communities would just kill for something like that. So that is where kind of more of the corporation side of that workforce development is really, really important to us. And I think we're really, really excited about the future. So appreciate y'all's time and consideration today.
Jesse, thank you for that. Thank you. Has everybody had their questions answered? Any other questions, comments? If not, this is an action item. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Carol, second from Bridget. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Any opposed? Approved unanimously. Thank you very much. I'd like to just make a comment. I think this is a powerful tool to invest in our community. I've visited recently with some members of TIRZ boards in other communities that are puzzled at how Sugar Land has pulled off something really that's going well, TIRZ 1, TIRZ 4, and they haven't been able to do anything with theirs. So I appreciate your questions, your comments, your investment of your time. But this is important, and I think we're going to see big dividends from this investment as well. Any other closing comments? Thank you again. Be safe. City staff, thank you for being here. Jennifer, get well soon. Thank you again. Be safe. Have a great day. I do have to have a motion to adjourn. I have a motion. Need a second? Second from Matthew. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much. Meeting is adjourned at 4:46. That's my longest meeting of my career.
Good job, Mr. Chair.
If you don't have time,
We don't want to go.
I saw the over to our stores of technology into our greenhouse, I can take you up on the third floor and you can see everything we just talked about. It's a great view. If you have any questions about the drainage or what